Hey everybody, on today's episode of Braised Gourmand, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make a nice little seafood dish. It's a pan-seared fillet of sea bass with a side of braised fennel. Also, I'd just like to take this time to thank everybody for the support. If you like what you've been seeing, please be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel down below, as well as leaving any suggestions you might have for future recipes in the comment section. Let's get to it. All right, so the first thing we got to do is that we got to braise our fennel. It's probably what's going to take the longest out of this whole cook. So fennel, you have all these nice little fennel leaves on top. We need to cut the fennel from here. You can keep these. We're going to keep these to garnish the dish after. It adds a nice little anisey aroma to the final dish. But we're just going to go ahead and cut this right here. We're going to leave these to the side. All right, and then we got to quarter our fennel. So we're going to go once. Oh, be sure also to leave the butt on. This is going to make sure that the fennel stays intact while we braise. We're going to take that off after. So we're going to go right down the middle here in the back. And then we're going to come here and quarter it. If the outside isn't nice, remember, you could just take it off. Ours is pretty nice. Sometimes you get these little dry, wrinkly outside of the fennel. It's not the nicest in the world. We have to, of course, season our fennel. So we're going to put this in a bowl. We're going to mix it with a little drizzle of olive oil. Pinch of salt. Pinch of pepper. Give this a nice mix. We want to get that in there. We're going to braise this fennel off on the flat sides, get a nice caramel color to it. Then we're going to add just a little bit of water, and it's going to braise down in its own juices. All right, so we're just going to, like we said before, we got to put the fennel down first before we start anything else. We already have a little bit of olive oil on here, but you know what? We could always add a little more just to be safe. I'm going to put just a quick little drizzle like that. This pan's preheated on low. You don't want to go too high, too hard on the sear. You just want a nice, light sound. We don't want to go too heavy. Just like that. So now that the fennel's down, we're going to go back to the prep table. I'm going to show you guys how to prepare the fish. All right, so for the fish, it's very easy. Here I have 2 fillets from a Mediterranean sea bass. I just asked my fishmonger to clean this off for me, remove any pin bones. So it's nice and clean. You get 2 nice fillets of sea bass. You don't need to worry about any bones or anything. You can clean it yourself if you're confident enough to do that, but we'll get to that in a different video. So here we have 2 nice fillets. We're going to lay these down. What we're going to do is we're just going to add a few cuts here to the skin. We're not going to go too deep. This is just going to ensure that the fish doesn't curl up. So you want to grab it here and just put some nice little slices inside. We don't want to go deep. I'm just barely piercing the skin. You're going to see them after. So once again, this is going to ensure that our fish won't curl up too much as we're cooking it. We're going to season this with just a little bit of olive oil, just like this on the outside. Like that, 1 shot there, 1 shot here. We're going to rub it in. We're going to go with just a little bit of salt here. A little bit of pepper only on the skin side. We want to keep the flesh side nice and white. and that's it for our fish prep. I'd say about 90% of the cooking is gonna happen on the skin side, and then we're gonna turn the heat off on the pan, kiss the flesh side on the pan, but the pan's gonna be off. The residual heat is gonna cook the rest of the fish, and that's how to ensure a nice and juicy fish that's not too dry and flaky. So let's head over to the stovetop one more time, and I'll show everybody how to cook this. So here we are back at the stove. You see I just turned the fennel over once. It's coloring nicely on the other side as well. We're gonna leave this go just a little longer before we add any water to it. Over here on low heat, as low as my oven could go, sorry, as low as my stovetop could go, I have a cast iron non-stick. It's very important to cook fish on a non-stick pan. You want to keep that skin intact, nice and crispy. So we're just gonna go, before we go here, like I said, this is preheated. A little bit of olive oil. We're gonna go in with the fish. It's gonna want to curl up. Press it down a little bit. Get that skin into contact. You see, it's not an aggressive sear. That's not what we want. We want this low. We want the skin to caramelize nice and slowly. The heat to rise up from the bottom and cook the fish gently. So while we have our fish going here nice and searing on the skin side nice and low, over here we're gonna go to our fennel. We're gonna turn it over to its third side. That's nice and caramelized. And we're gonna add in, I have about here a cup of water. We can turn up the heat just a little bit. We're gonna go in with our water. We're gonna bring this up to a boil, and we're gonna leave it go. It collected all the nice caramelized bits at the bottom, and then it's gonna basically create its own sauce. Braising vegetables is a lovely thing. I feel like not enough people do it, and you don't need to get crazy with it, not too many flavors. You just go and you leave the vegetables create their own stock. So you see here the fish, the flesh is getting nice and white. That means we're cooking, it's nice and moist. Moist. You see the color rising up from the bottom of the fish. And if I lift this up now, you're gonna see that it's not sticking to the pan. We have a nice crispy skin. It's not burnt. So we're just gonna continue to leave this go until it's ready. This flesh here, we're gonna leave it go just a little more. You see here towards the tail end, it's nice and white. Over here towards the front of the fish, it's a little thicker, so we're gonna leave it go just a little more. We're gonna turn off the heat after, flip the fish over, and just leave it rest on that side before we plate. And then by the time this is done, our fennel should be nice and reduced, the liquid should be all gone, and we're gonna have a nice, beautiful braised fennel. So for me, this fish is just about ready to be flipped. The majority of it is cooked, just right over here towards the back, here at the front, and this is the dorsal fin of the fish. It's always the thickest part of the fish, but like you can see, it's pretty much almost cooked. I'm gonna turn off the heat completely. We're gonna go nice and gently on this fish. Nice little flip. There you go. So here you see our nice little cuts that we made before. Nice crispy skin. Now it's very important that we keep that skin crispy. We worked hard, we were patient with it, we didn't play around with it. This nice and crispy skin is what you want in a fish. You know, you go to a restaurant sometimes and that skin is just, it's not enjoyable to eat. It hasn't been cooked properly, it's soggy, it's stringy, everybody peels it off and leaves it aside. This is gonna be crispy like a chip. And honestly, it sounds weird, but fish skin chips are quite delicious. So here our fennel's almost done. We're gonna leave our fish just finish off on the skin side. We're gonna go ahead and remove our fish. Again, be very careful. See, now the flesh is nice and cooked, perfectly cooked, nice and juicy. We're gonna lay this down. Now remember I said on the fennel, we were gonna take the cores off. All right, so we're just gonna leave this finished, but as you can see, the fennel is nice and, whoa, we don't wanna have a fire here. So as you can see, the fennel is nice, it's gone a little translucent, it's cooking down, the liquid is gone. So we're just gonna move back over to the counter for a nice little final plating. I'll show you guys how to, not do anything too fancy. Again, we want this to be like a nice, like you could do this like a nice little quick, simple lunch, but I'll show you guys how to plate it. So for final plating, this is gonna be very simple. We're gonna take our braised fennel here. Actually, let's take these. These got a nice little bit of color on them. We're gonna take these. That's the dishwasher yelling at me. We're just gonna come here and remove the core. See, they've absorbed all their nice juices. We're gonna come here, lay our fennel out, just like this. I'll go like this. Make a nice little base. We're going to take our fillet of sea bass that's nice and rested. We're going to put that right over top. Again, we want to preserve the crispy skin. We're going to take these nice little fennel fronds. Lay those over the top. And then I like to finish. Oops. This is a little, basically every Greek or Mediterranean household will generally have this in the fridge. It's a mixture of olive oil, lemon juice, salt, pepper, oregano. It's very simple. I go about 3/4 olive oil, 1/4 lemon juice, nice pinch of salt, nice pinch of pepper, and of course that OG oregano that we talked about in our other videos. Give this a nice shake. And we're just gonna go nice and gently around. We worked hard on that skin. We don't want it to get soggy. So we're just gonna go around, and this is gonna be just a nice little simple sauce. We're gonna close this up. We're gonna get all of this out of the way. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. An extremely easy dish to make. There's no incredibly hard techniques. It just requires patience. Fish compared to steak needs low heat. Steak, generally we want a nice hard sear on it. Fish, we want this nice crispy chip-like skin with a nice soft moist flesh. Here we have a nice little vegetable. Generally, sea bass and fennel go very well together, and then a nice little fresh sauce to go with it. So I'll leave everybody with that. Once again, if you've enjoyed our videos, please be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. And as always, enjoy.